What if I told you that you can time travel 60,000 years into the past to catch a real-time glimpse of how our hunter-gatherer ancestors lived? Well, turns out you do not need a time machine for that. All you need to do is visit North Sentinel Island, a remote place where a tribe has been almost completely isolated from the rest of mankind for many millennia. But here's the problem. It is illegal to visit the island, and even if you do get there, you will be brutally killed by locals who are very hostile to outsiders, as many who have gone there have discovered for themselves. We delve into the secrets hidden in North Sentinel Island, the most dangerous and bizarre place in the world, on this week's episode of Stranger Than Fiction. We now live in an increasingly interconnected world, where the differences between various regions are diminishing, with a single global culture fast emerging. An incident happening in any corner of the planet is almost instantly distributed and consumed in the farthest reaches of the globe, including the remotest of places. But even in 2024, there are a few uncontacted tribes dotted around the planet that are completely oblivious to what a television, a smartphone, or fast food is. In fact, some of them have not even heard of a plough or a sickle, as they are unaware of the concept of agriculture. The most isolated of these tribes are the Sentinelese, who inhabit a remote island in the Bay of Bengal, just north of the Indian Ocean. 1,400 kilometers east of the Indian mainland, and around 1,000 kilometers west of Thailand, lies the Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which is an island chain governed by India. This chain has a total of 836 islands, of which only 31 are inhabited. But one of these islands is not like the rest, North Sentinel Island. Located towards the eastern end of this island chain, North Sentinel is not particularly big or eye-catching. In fact, it has an area of just 60 square kilometers or 23 square miles, which makes it roughly 2/3 the size of Manhattan. The Indian government has completely closed off this island to the public. Neither tourists nor residents of any of the other islands are allowed to visit. So why has India done this? Well, because this ordinary-looking island hides a quite extraordinary secret. It is home to one of the last uncontacted and the most isolated tribe in the whole world. And the inhabitants of this island have made it very clear that they do not like visitors, attacking and killing anyone who tries to enter. We have no idea what this tribe calls themselves, but to the outer world, the people inhabiting this island are called the Sentinelese. Their population is thought to range anywhere between 50 and 500. Why such a big range? Because it is impossible to go to the island to count the inhabitants. And any attempts to do this using satellite images are futile, as the island has a thick forest cover, making it impossible to see anything beyond the vegetation. So theoretically, anything could be hiding in this island, and we simply have no way of knowing how the Sentinelese go about their day, and the kind of beliefs and rituals they have. So what do we know about the Sentinelese? Well, many anthropologists think that they are the descendants of some of the first humans to migrate out of Africa, reaching the island around 60,000 years ago. And they have called this place home ever since, completely oblivious to what is happening in the world around them. The Sentinelese are the only pre-Neolithic people alive today, and they have absolutely no idea about the advent of agriculture, the rise of civilizations, the birth of the world's famous religions, the emergence of nation-states, the Industrial Revolution, the various empires, including the British Empire, which they were technically part of, globalization, the world wars, the technological revolution, the space race, or the birth of the internet. They have continued living on their tiny island, the exact same way that our ancestors did 60,000 years ago, in small bands through hunting and gathering. So why haven't we tried to bring them out of the Stone Age and integrate them into modern society? Well, many have tried and have learned the hard way that the Sentinelese do not wish to be bothered. Back in 2018, the story of John Allen Chau hit the headlines. Chau was an American evangelical Christian missionary who illegally travelled to North Sentinel Island to try and convert the inhabitants to Christianity. Predictably, he was shot dead with arrows by the locals, who were seen burying his body on the shore of the island. In 2006, two drunk fishermen saw their boat drift into North Sentinel Island after a fishing expedition, and they too met the same fate as Chow, being brutally killed by the Sentinelese. When an Indian Coast Guard chopper went to the area to investigate and recover their bodies, it was attacked with bows and arrows by Sentinelese warriors, thus being forced to abandon their mission. So why do the Sentinelese react so violently whenever they see outsiders trying to make contact? Well, their behaviour could have something to do with an expedition to the island by British officer Maurice Vidal Portman in 1880. Portman tried to bring Sentinelese people into the mainstream of development, but his actions were far from humane. His team captured 6 Sentinelese people, an elderly couple and their 4 children. They were all taken to the nearest city, Port Blair, so that they could be studied. However, all of them quickly got sick because they simply had not built up immunity to the various diseases in the outside world, having been isolated on the same island for so many generations. The elderly couple soon died, while the 4 children were simply dropped back on the shores of the island by Portman after they became very sick. It is very likely that the diseases that these children had contracted spread through the tribe and caused plenty of devastation to their population. Many experts think that the intergenerational trauma caused to the Sentinelese by this incident is the reason why they remain extremely hostile to outsiders to this day. Perhaps the most mind-boggling development involving the Sentinelese to date was the fact that they managed to escape the 2004 tsunami completely unscathed. The tsunami, which was caused by a major earthquake with a magnitude of around 9.2, killed nearly 250,000 people across Indonesia, Sri Lanka, India, and Thailand. However, despite being much closer to the epicenter of the earthquake than some of these countries, the Sentinelese seemingly did not suffer many losses. How do we know this? The day after the tsunami, the Indian Coast Guard sent a helicopter to check if the inhabitants of the island were okay, and the helicopter was attacked with arrows by the tribesmen, leading the Indian officials to conclude that the Sentinelese were doing just fine. Many were completely bewildered by how these pre-Neolithic people managed to anticipate the tsunami, while we, in the outside world, equipped with modern-day technology, failed to do so. Experts say that the tribe's knowledge and understanding of oceanic geography gave them an advantage, with many believing these people are so in tune with their environment that they can instantly tell when something is not quite right. This incident, allied with the fact that they have been able to survive for over 60,000 years, suggests that the Sentinelese are doing just fine without our help, and that the Indian government is right to leave them alone. However, India's move is not without its critics. You see, India has now made it illegal to go within 9 kilometers of the island's boundaries. The purpose of this law is to not just protect any tourists from being attacked by the tribe, but also to protect the Sentinelese, whose immune system is not capable of handling even simple pathogens that outsiders may carry. However, some do not agree with the policy of simply allowing the Sentinelese to continue their Stone Age lifestyle. They think that we have a duty to bring the inhabitants of this island out of their ignorance, and to bestow on them the privileges of modern civilization, such as modern medicine and individual liberty. Besides, others also feel that having an opportunity to study the Sentinelese up close would help us learn so much about the practices of our own ancestors and fill some of the knowledge gaps that exist in the story of mankind. This question of whether to let the tribe continue living in isolation or to make contact to improve their lives gets at the core of many debates that we as a species are now having. For instance, can we conclusively say that modern-day humans lead happier and more fulfilling lives than our hunter-gatherer ancestors? Is more knowledge always a good thing? And should ignorance take away one's right to self-determination? These are interesting questions to ponder no matter what side of the debate you come down on. If you do think that the Sentinelese should be left alone, and that the Indian government is doing the right thing, then it is interesting to consider what that means philosophically in the context of the Earth's place in the cosmos. Could it be that advanced civilizations do exist in the universe, and they have decided to leave humans alone to our blissful ignorance instead of bestowing us with their knowledge, just like we have done with the Sentinelese? Mathematician Eric Weinstein has raised an even more interesting point on this very possibility. He points out that even though the Sentinelese are governed by India and are protected by the country from the outside world, they have no conception of what India is. Weinstein has asked if the same could be true of humans on Earth, with a brotherly advanced civilization ensuring that our planet is off limits to other civilizations across the cosmos, thus protecting us from invasions. While these are fun thought experiments, what is undeniable is that in evolutionary terms, the Sentinelese are indeed an extremely successful population group, as they have existed for much, much longer than all of Earth's great civilizations. And who knows, they might even outlast all our current nation-states, as North Sentinel Island would theoretically be the best place to be if a deadly pandemic or large-scale biological warfare breaks out. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you want to learn more about such unique places and ideas, subscribe to the channel. We will continue bringing you concepts and ideas that blow your mind, as the truth, as they say, is stranger than fiction.